Christmas has come early this year for all of us horror fans, and especially all of us Terrifier fans. Join me as I do a Terrifier franchise ranking, plus a special surprise just for you. Hey, how you doing? It is I, the Terrific Lady, otherwise known as Brandy, and welcome to Retro Horror School. And boy howdy, do I have a video for you today. I'm going to be ranking the Terrifier franchise, All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 1, and Terrifier 2. At the time of recording this video, I have not yet seen Terrifier 3. I will be seeing that Thursday night, and that is the special surprise for you. This video will not only include a franchise ranking, but also a review of Terrifier 3. Now you may be wondering, why are you reviewing a newer movie and why are you ranking all the Terrifier franchise? Because one of the movies came out in 2022. Yes, I do know that Terrifier 2 came out in 2022 and then Terrifier 3, of course, came out this year. But whenever I'm reviewing a franchise, if there's a movie that comes out in a franchise past the era of time I like to talk about, I still like to talk about the movie and review it to give the franchise as a whole a fair shake. This is going to be a very short franchise ranking because minus Terrifier 3, which I cannot include in here yet, there are only 3 films. And if you're curious about any of the films, you can find them to stream pretty much anywhere. So if you don't have a physical copy, you're covered. So without further ado, here are my rankings of the movies in the Terrifier franchise so far. Number 3 is the anthology All Hallows Eve, which came out in 2013 and consists of the shorts The Ninth Circle, which came out in 2008, Terrifier, which came out in 2011, and then a third short that they created just for this anthology that I could not find the name for at all. The gist of this film is that a babysitter, who you'll recognize as the reporter in the feature-length film Terrifier, she is babysitting 2 kids, and in one of the kids' bags of Halloween candy, there is this obscure VHS tape. Of course, they beg her to watch this mysterious tape, and eventually she caves, and it turns out that this tape has a series of 3 scary short films, the central feature around all those films being Art the Clown. Now, The Ninth Circle sees Art torturing a woman at a train station and eventually kidnapping her and giving her as a sacrifice of sorts for the devil to get freaky with. The second short shows a woman at home alone being tormented and terrified by this alien. And the third short, Terrifier, has Art following a woman who witnessed one of his murders at a gas station when she was not supposed to, so he figures that he has to get rid of the evidence. I thought the way that this anthology was filmed was interesting. I liked it how it transitioned from the babysitter and the kids watching the film on the TV to then going to the film itself. I liked that fact and that change in point of view and perspective. And you can definitely tell that the makeup and special effects improved from The Ninth Circle to Terrifier, especially on Art. Ninth Circle Art looked like just clown paint painted on the face, whereas Terrifier Art had the sculpted nose and the other face prosthetics. Like I said, you could definitely see the improvement from that film to that film. And All Hallows Eve, the anthology, established a lot of the things that you would see in Art in later films. For instance, he had his weapons of the scalpel and the cat of nine tails. He had his horn that he liked to honk, and he liked to subdue victims by injecting them with sleepy time juice. You could see the beginnings of the mannerisms in The Ninth Circle. Then they came to full fruition in the film Terrifier. the not speaking, the silent laughing, the gestures, the other mannerisms. Also, the plastic over the face. You see him doing that, and I guess he just likes suffocating people with plastic. Ugh. You also saw some other things in the anthology that would later crop up across the various Terrifier films. For instance, the homeless person you see in both Terrifier and Terrifier 2. There was an artist in the second short that painted a picture of art, much like Sienna and Jonathan's dad did that sketch of art in Terrifier 2. And oh, I almost forgot about the circus sign that made an appearance as well. The end of this movie is very intriguing because it makes it seem like the babysitter is a part of the movie because the film turns to the grain that you see on the tape that was in the kids' Halloween bag. So it made me think maybe people who watch the tape become part of the movie as the tape is passed on. So maybe these things that are on the tape actually happened, and it just keeps getting added to and added to the more people watch it. I mean, I don't know if it's a ring type thing, but there's my theory. That could be interesting. My favorite short on there was the Terrifier short. The Ninth Circle was okay, and I didn't really get the alien one on there. Leone saying in an interview that they just threw it in there to make the movie longer, so I could kind of forgive for that, even if it pulled an American Horror Story season 2 kind of thing there. So yep, All Hallows Eve, a solid number 3. Number 2 is Terrifier 2, which came out just 2 years ago, if you can believe that. Time flies. It is set a year after the Miles County Massacre events of the first Terrifier, and Art has picked his new victims, among them being Jonathan and Sienna. And Sienna's friends, he ends up offing them. Art's resurrected after the events of Terrifier 1. He comes back to life, and he does what he does best, going around and killing people. You have more gore in the movie, which I like as a goreophile. I'm still going to point out the bedroom scene. That bedroom scene. Oh, no, no! Ah! Also, I still want to know how Art was able to get all that blood out of his clothes. I want to know what stain remover he used. The simple, straightforward plot of Art stalking and killing is very easy to understand. What I'm wanting to find out are just the little nuggets. Did Sienna and Jonathan's dad drawing Art bring Art to life? What was the deal with his resurrection at the end of the film? As that was a little weird. And will it explain how he got resurrected? I mean, if it does it in Terrifier 3, I mean, that's perfectly okay. Those are just a few of the questions I had. Why Terrifier 2 is not my number 1, even though I like it, there were a few parts that seemed to drag on a little too long for me. For instance, the dream sequence, the Clown Cafe, I felt that could have been cut a little bit more to keep the dream moving at a more steady pace, like the dreams in any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Plus, the dance sequence at the club with Sienna and her friend Brooke, that also took a little bit too long. But in spite of that, I still liked it. So far, there isn't a movie in this franchise that I didn't not like. And that's very rare for a franchise for me. Usually I find myself not really liking one film and liking a whole bunch. I'm rambling, but I bet you could guess which film is number 1. Number 1 is, of course, the first Terrifier, which came out in 2016 and which saw the adventures of Art the Clown for all to see on the big screen. Art has his sights set on Tara and Dawn, and then Vicky, and he does what he does best, using his weapons, killing people, causing all sorts of mayhem, sawing the girl in half scene. The story again was very simple and straightforward because you don't really need convoluted storylines and slashers that have a lot of gore, because the more convoluted a storyline is, the more it takes away from the overall effects and gore. The overall effects and gores, over the top as they are, complements the simple storyline, and vice versa. The simple storyline complements the gore, the over the top gore, special effects. So they need each other. Much like in Terrifier 2, the special effects and the simple storyline, they needed each other. I have no complaints about the storyline. And to the people that are like, oh, well, this has no story and this is gore with no purpose. The story is Art stalks and kills people and they're trying to survive. That's the storyline. If you enjoyed the really sleazy, over the top kind of 80s slasher exploitation films, if that's your jam, then this is going to be for you. I love the story and I love the pacing. It was boom, 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 boom. We got to the action, so to speak, really quick. The only part that annoyed me in this movie was I was wanting Tara, right before she got killed, to kick the shit out of Art, knock him down, knock him out, and then run. I would not be yelling at Art to get up and go in fisticuffs with him. I would get the hell out of there. I would run. That's the only part that kind of annoyed me about the first Terrifier. But yeah, that's why Terrifier is number one. Now, through the power of YouTube magic, you will see me many hours later in a different shirt, different hairdo, talking about Terrifier 3. So, ta-da! And through the power of YouTube magic, here I am a couple hours after seeing Terrifier 3. I let myself gather my thoughts, what I liked, what I didn't like, and as a special bonus early Christmas gift for you, a review of Terrifier 3. It's not included as part of the franchise rankings, but it is part of the franchise, and so to be fair to it, I am giving my thoughts with this review. Going forward, I want to tell you that there could possibly be spoilers. It's going to say that as a fair warning. If you want to go into it fresh, I will leave the timestamp to where you can skip ahead to just my final verdict and my final thoughts on the film. Here we go. Terrifier 3 is a direct continuation of Terrifier 1 and 2, but it immediately follows the events of Terrifier 2. I don't want to say just directly immediately because it is 5 years later. It shows Sienna dealing with the aftermath of what happened to her family and friends. It shows how Jonathan is coping. They're both trying to get back to some sense of normalcy, and they are failing because who is the wrench in the works? None other than Art the Clown with his accomplice, Victoria Hayes, who is possessed by a demonic force that made him stronger. So that's how he's able to come back to life, is through these demonic forces. So again, simple, straightforward storyline. We have some new family that's introduced in the form of Sienna and Jonathan's aunt, uncle, and niece. That's who Sienna goes to stay with after she gets out of another stint at a psychiatric hospital. So there's that new addition. Jonathan's in college, and you see some of, I'm assuming it's college since it's 5 years later. He was 12 in Terrifier 2. The character is 12, so you'd be about 17, 18, most likely starting his first year of college. You see Sienna trying to get back to some sense of normalcy. You see Jonathan at college trying to regain his sense of normalcy. And then when it comes down to it, Art the Clown is trying to fuck everything up, and Sienna has to stop him. Him and Victoria both. What worked about this movie? What I thought really worked about this movie is that the story and the editing seemed more tight than the editing in Terrifier 2. As much as I liked Terrifier 2, there were some parts that dragged on a little bit too long. Damien Leone did hear those criticisms and concerns, and I do remember him saying that he really took it to heart and he was going to apply it to Terrifier 3, and it showed. The writing was tight, The editing was tight. The pacing was perfect, and it never felt like it dragged to me in any way. I also felt the story was well rounded and it answered most of the questions that I had about Terrifier 2. For instance, yes, Art is a demonic force. Yes, Art was resurrected by a demon. Yes, Victoria Hayes is now a demon because the demonic force jumps from person to person. It jumped from the little pale girl to Victoria. The stronger the demonic host is, the stronger that Art becomes. And they were trying to go after Sienna because Sienna is a very strong-willed, badass young woman who would make Art even more powerful. And for those of you that might ask, yes, it had some very gruesome kills. The standout ones in my mind are what happened with the family at the beginning of the movie in the first 10 minutes. The scene that I heard a lot of people walked out of in various showings. Nobody walked out in my showing. I don't know if that says about my showing, but the showing where I watched Terrifier 3, nobody walked out. There's also the kids at the mall because Art, in his little jaunts, in between his little killing jaunts at other places, he portrays this Santa at the mall who's handing out presents to kids. And one of the presents just happens to be a bomb that explodes, and I was not expecting that, so I was just like well, the shower scene is what I hear a lot of people talking about, and that was a big standout because Damien Leone said in an interview, if I was going to get my hands on Psycho and if I was making it today, how would I do it? How would I modernize it? Well, a chainsaw. That couple in the shower got chainsawed. The girl got mutilated. The guy got a chainsaw right up the butt, which is something I've never seen before. And right in a certain part that he is definitely just like going to miss. And then afterwards, Art did a bloody snow angel. So Jesus. And then what happened at the end to Sienna's niece? Her niece ends up getting taken and sucked under by evil forces, and that's going to lead into Terrifier 4, which yes, Damien Leone confirmed that there is a Terrifier 4. What happened to her aunt and uncle? Brutal. And then to one other member of her family, which I will talk about here in a minute. I also thought this movie explored the nature of trauma very well. How Sienna was coping with all the shit that happened to her. How Jonathan was coping with all the shit that had happened. And one part in particular really struck me because Jonathan's roommate's girlfriend ran this true crime podcast, and Sienna just happened to be visiting Jonathan at college. And the girl was kind of geeking out whenever she saw Sienna and was like, it's almost the 5-year anniversary and people would love to hear how you're coping. And she's like, how I'm coping? Okay, I'll tell you how I'm coping. And she goes off onto this rant about, I'm seeing things that aren't there. I've been in psychiatric hospitals. I'm on medication, but you know what? You don't really care because you're a leech. You're all the same. You're a leech. You don't even treat me like I'm a person. And it's just like, wow. And that's a criticism as to how some people, not all, but some, treat people that have experienced severe trauma. They have that arm's distance from it. So it's easier for them to be like, oh my God, I am so sorry that happened to you, but let me overanalyze and nitpick every single thing that did happen without them even stopping to be like, are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? So I liked that. I liked that criticism. I thought it was very detailed and very sharp and very well done. Also, to me, I felt this movie was a little bit less about art being funny and more about art just being a brutal, sadistic psychopath. Because, yes, there were parts that Art did that was funny. And yes, there were some things that he did, like his facial expressions and his mannerisms, which I have always liked that I was laughing at. But his brutality was upped by tenfold in this movie. I can't even begin to get into the nature of every single brutal thing that he did in this movie. So think of this as just Terrifier and Terrifier 2 multiplied by like 20. And that's the level of brutality that you will get with Art in Terrifier 3. Also, what I appreciate is that you didn't see every kill on screen, and it had more of an impact because you didn't see it. I'm going to point to The Hitcher in 1986. There's a scene where Jim Halsey, played by C. Thomas Howell, comes across this car where the hitchhiker had killed the family. And it just shows the shot of him walking up to the car and then looking into the car. You see blood dripping down from the car, but you don't see the mutilated bodies because you don't need to see it. You know something horrific happened. Well, you don't see two kills in particular in the film. The boy, Timmy, in the first 10 minutes of the scene, you don't see, you hear. You hear the noises and you know something brutal has happened. And just even imagining that happened, ugh, that was rough. Also something that was really rough, and it actually like made me cry because I really liked the brother-sister connection in Terrifier 2. And this is a major spoiler for anybody who has not seen this yet. This is what happened to Jonathan. Jonathan was one of Art the Clown's victims. And I actually cried. I cried in the theater when that was revealed. That was really rough because I connected with the brother-sister aspect a lot in Terrifier 2 because of my own closeness with my own siblings. My brother and sister, we're all very, very close. So I tend to naturally gravitate towards the brother-sister connections in horror movies, and that was rough. That was really rough. Poor little man. Like, seriously. So this is a horror movie that actually got me to cry, and that is hard to do. I'm usually terrified. I'm usually scared. I'm usually shocked or disgusted, but I can't really remember a horror movie in recent memory, or if ever, that has made me cry. So good job there. But God, poor Jonathan. Also got to give props to David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. Absolutely just incredible. His facial expressions, his mannerisms, the way that he was able to emote. He was funny. He was frightening. He was disgusting. He was utterly brutal, and nothing was held back. And I loved it. Also, props to Samantha. I cannot pronounce her name. Samantha Scafati, who played Victoria Hayes. Whoo, she was a perfect complement to Art in this film. She didn't detract from any scene that she was in. She was almost like she was a rabble rouser, like that rabble rouser, just encouraging, making Art stronger and encouraging him to do his thing. Props to Samantha and her portrayal of Victoria Hayes. I thought it was awesome. There's also a fun little Easter egg at the end of Terrifier 3. If you watch my Art the Clown analysis video, I go through the concept and creation of Art the Clown. The ending is a direct throwback to that concept and creation of Art the Clown, where there is a woman alone on a bus. She's reading The Ninth Circle. Get it? Which was Damien Leone's first short. Art the Clown is waiting at a bus stop. After all the shit went down with him and Sienna at the end of the film, he gets on that bus. It's just the bus driver and the woman and Art. And then Art gets his horn out and starts tormenting her with it. I love that Easter egg. I was geeking out a lot at it. Now, as far as what didn't work about this movie, my one main question that wasn't answered is what was the deal with Sienna's father? Because you saw him in flashbacks in the film, and whenever Sienna was little, you saw flashbacks with her and her father. It showed her father as an artist. It showed her father drawing the angel warrior that Sienna dressed up as in Terrifier 2. Saw him drawing that character to give to her, and he was telling her, look, you got to be strong. You got to be strong. And then it still just left that unanswered question. Okay, why is he there? Is the theory going to be proven true that Art is Sienna's father? Did he bring Art to life through his drawings? What was going on there? So that was just an unanswered question. I was like, ugh, I really wanted to get the answer to in this movie. Hopefully we'll get that answer in Terrifier 4, and that will wrap it all up. I'm trying not to be biased here, but it's really hard for me to think of a negative beyond that little nitpick. So my final verdict for Terrifier 3 is it is a film that I would definitely watch again. It is a film that I will definitely seek to own on my shelf, and bravo to the entire Terrifier 3 team. The movie was fantastic, and all of these films show me that no matter what kind of hell you go through, you can always pull yourself out of it and come out of the other side stronger. Maybe a little worse for the wear, but stronger. Thank you so much for watching my Terrifier franchise ranking with bonus Terrifier 3 review. Let me know what your favorite Terrifier movie is, and let me know what you think of Terrifier 3 if you have seen it in the comments below. Be sure to like and share this video with fellow horror fans and fellow Terrifier franchise and Art the Clown fans. It really does help. Also, if you have not yet subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that way you never miss a retro horror class. I'm going to throw up a few more videos here that I think you might like, and sadly, class is dismissed, everybody, for now, but I will see you next time. Bye!